Hi, everybody, and welcome back to We Know Scripted TV, where today we know the anti-penultimate episode of Squid Game Season 2. It is the fifth day of Squid Game, and we are encroaching upon the end game here. And we end on a game. Unfortunately, it is the second cliffhanger in a row, but we are not going to leave you here in the lurch as we talk through episode 5. Of course, I am Mike Bloom. Mike apparently means, I think, gift from God, which is a little presumptuous on my part. Chappell, do you know what Chappell means?
I do not. I do not know what Chappell means, but I do know that Chappell is very upset at the Squid Game. My true love pissed me off today. It's the fifth day of Squid Game,
Yep.
and these cliffhangers have to stop because
There was one golden ring that they were standing on as it was twirling around.
and it pissed me off because I'm leaning in. At this point, I'm like, oh, okay, new game. We're interested. We okay, suspense here. What's gonna happen? We obviously have to lose a bunch of characters in this episode, and then it just ends. And it was a longer episode than normal, so I just don't understand why they're doing this to us.
Yeah, they pulled, a bit of a Stranger Things season 4 from my perspective. And I believe that the first episode of season 1 was fairly long as well, but this clocked in at with credits an hour and 15 minutes. The length of a direct to DVD Disney movie was the length of this episode, and it was this sort of like awkward sandwich where it was half of one game and then a lot of stuff in the middle, a vote, and then, the build up to it and the fallout from that, and then the introduction of another game. Checking in with a couple of other things, right? Noel gets like a couple scenes. We get one scene of them checking in with the shady ass captain. That's pretty much it, Chappelle. The big to do, I think, in this episode is both the spectacle of like how our named characters actually do get through. I guess I should say maybe it's 3 golden rings total because we have those 2 in the very beginning as they get through the 6-legged race as we thought that they would, and then culminating in this vote, which is becoming more lopsided by the day.
Yeah, more people want to stay in the game because we saw that the 6-legged race, it was deadly, but it could have been deadlier. It killed a bunch of people, but they were like, not enough to make it financially feasible for me to actually quit. I'm still willing to risk my life for this. And on one hand, you feel like, okay, if you lose, you die, you get nothing. And so this is a crazy gamble. But many of the characters are telling us, I don't have anything else to go back to anyway. If I do leave, I'm still going to die. So at least if I stay here, I might be able to get some money. These are, again, degenerate gamblers. A lot of them are acting like, oh, well, something went wrong and then I just ended up $100 million. That's not how that happens. Stop playing. Each of them is like, my family would be in danger if I came home empty-handed. But again, if you don't come home at all, they're still in danger. So, it's like you're trying to speak logic to people who are under duress, and they're making decisions that no rational human would make. But again, in a life and death situation, it's not really a choice. This is not a decision. A lot of these people are just doing whatever they can to survive and thinking that if they just make it one round longer, surviving outside will be a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, this episode is called One More Game. It is, in fact, chanted by our favorite guy, Mr. $10 billion in debt, number 100, to really encourage a lot of people to give this the O by an overwhelming majority. And I really do love this twist these maniacal producers threw in the further we get into it, because it does imply this like psychological experiment. Season 1, it was very clearly, quite literally, all or nothing. They got out of the game and they said, wait a minute, my life kind of sucks now. Maybe a chance at 45.6 billion won isn't terrible. And so they ended them going back in, knowing that they would either die or win this life-changing amount of money. Because they threw in this variable now, there is this quantifiable amount of risk where now they're assigning this logic of like, well, listen, I can't leave for 78 billion. Now 200 million, I could definitely leave on. That would cover all of my costs. And so while it does allow people to your point, kind of give themselves excuses as to why they keep going, it's really interesting to see people try to be their own financial managers. And obviously one particular person is in trouble for doing just that with a lot of people in the Squid Game, for basically saying like, look, I'm in a lot of trouble, not 78 million won trouble, a little bit steeper than that. And so it's going to cause a bit of a divide, I think, between some newly formed friendships, albeit I think a bit briefly. I think everyone's kind of like on the same page by the end. I don't think the fractures are that huge that are gonna, reverberate throughout all the rest of Squid Game season 2.
Well, there's so many people who voted to keep the Squid Game going. If it was just one person, right? I think you could hold it against that one person. And even that one person is going to tell you why they did it. And they're going to have a
and even when
justification.
Inho was the one person, he's like, yeah, but I wasn't the one person. I just happened to be the last person.
The deciding vote, right? So you should still be blaming Inho for this. Make no mistake. You should still be blaming Inho for this vote as well. But you're right. Inho does a lot of jury management, I would say here, when it comes to the way Gi-hun is looking at him, because we know he's trying to low-key rehabilitate his image here. I don't know why he wants him to trust him more. Obviously, they're at odds, but Gi-hun doesn't know it, and so he is now stepping up as like the most vocal person to shut the Squid Game down. He's the first person to go and vote to stay. He steps in like, no, everybody, are y'all crazy? This isn't where I was just like, I hate him so much. I hate him so much. This man is an evil genius.
So yeah, okay, this is interesting. Yeah, because I'm having trouble really figuring out how much is mind games for this guy, and I think there might be an argument, Chappell, that this guy's fallen for his mark a little bit, that he's understanding the assignment a bit too much, specifically when it came to the spinning top. Now, look, it would be like 6D chess if this guy knew I'm purposely going to quite literally throw this top backwards to, really drag us down, knowing Gi-hun would come through and play up how I'm really emotionally fractured and I have this penchant for anger. But I don't know. I think the longer he spends in those dorms, the more that old version of him comes to life. And I would not be surprised if, we've talked before, and I know you have as well, about, we need a flashback to when Inho won the games. Maybe we don't. If this is actually the slice of life of who Inho was, this short-tempered, very loud, angry man.
Yes. But also, he's still the front man. So as far as I'm concerned, he's in charge of this whole operation. The fact that this is a 6-legged race, I think that is a part of the mind game as well. Because I thought, now correct me if I'm wrong, that the two groups of people going at the same time were in an actual race. If I finish before you, your team doesn't make it. No. Those people, you can finish whenever. You just had to finish. And so let's say I'm on the fence, right? I voted to go at first, but they're right. I mean, I voted to leave it, but they're right. I could use a little bit more money. Let's see how the 6-legged race goes. Well, I get in there and they say, yeah, you gotta play Dachi. You're like, oh, okay. You do Dachi one time. I did it. My part was really easy. So now when you say, should we play one more game? You're like, the last game wasn't even really that hard, to be honest. And that I'm blaming Inho for, because again, you know this. You know what's going on. At least I think he does. At some point, Mike, do we have to start questioning, is he in the game as just like a competitor, like a real life competitor? Or if he's still one of the people who is in charge, who knows what's coming next, and who is just going along with emotion for whatever sick, twisted thing he's trying to do with Gi-hun?
Now, let me throw out another theory to counter your theory. What if Inho's in debt? What if he spent way too much money in these games and he's been looking at the profit loss margins for the past few years, and they have been, much like the many corpses around them, bleeding funds at this point. And so he's got to go for broke. He has to win 45.6 billion won again so that he can keep funding these games, or else they're going to shut down the orphanage.
I mean, that sounds I kind of like that because the investors, they're putting in their money in the pot. They want to see a game. He's like, oh god, nobody was supposed to ever win the actual game.
I like this. Yeah,
but we've rigged it. You know what I'm saying? It was never supposed to happen.
Basically one big carnival game. Like, no one's actually supposed to hit the ball in the bucket and win a prize.
Right. And now he's like, I gotta win it for myself just so I have enough money to keep myself afloat, because these people are going to be after me. And when we got his real name, Young Il, I just feel like that's a little close to Ilnam. Like, I feel like there's a lot going on right there. Ilnam was in the game and he knew what was going on. And that's what I can't trust him. Inho, you're dead to me already. I just feel like if we get rid of him, life will be easier.
Well, especially because he says, oh, isn't it funny that my name means 01 and that's the number that I have? If I'm Gi-hun and I saw what happened with Ilnam, I'm putting 2 and 2 and 1 and 1 and 3 and all the numbers together to be like, oh, you're a plant. Oh, you are 100% a plant. You can't help yourself. You put yourself in, you gave yourself this cute little name, and now we're going to completely find out everything that's happening with you.
Yeah. Because I don't even remember what Ilnam stood for, but he was the old man, right? And I think his name meant first man, and so it's basically the same exact thing. It's like he's like a copycat of doing what the old man did. And I'm thinking, you maniacal bastard. Like that's why I was getting a good hate into him, and the more he was grandstanding, telling people we need to leave. It's like, you don't believe that. You really don't believe that. You're just saying that because you're trying to throw us off your scent because we're on to you. We could tell that this man is still the front man. Now I don't know what his end game is. Is it just to come to just win? Because we don't know if, like, let's say this is some vendetta against Gi-hun for beating the game or something, and Gi-hun dies in the next round, and what happens? Like all right, well, my work here is done. Do you just throw it? Do they shuffle you to the back to kill you, and we never see you killed off screen like they did the old man? What is he really here to do? I'm questioning everything about him, and I just can't trust it at this point. So he can die.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued as well. And I mean, the question is, are we going to get this end game in season 2? Because we are only in the 3rd game, and we just barely started at this episode. So I imagine next episode is going to be chiefly focused on that. We're not going to get through all 6 games in this season unless we start double timing things. And so that means either A group votes to end things early, or B, and what I would say is more likely, we're kind of ending things in the middle of the games, an even larger version of these poor cliffhangers, Chappell, to really finish things up then in season 3. And so I don't know if we're going to get his Grandmaster Plan revealed. I don't even know if he remembers his Grandmaster Plan. Again, if he has too much of his head in the game and he's just focusing on finding the right group of people to go with. I mean, on the one hand, it would be this sort of like Natalie Anderson, John Mish idea, right? If I'm going to bring this guy in close so that he never expects me to stab him in the back with the knife from my hairpin. On the other hand, Gi-hun and Inho saw this, got kind of stabbed in the back, and actually more so got sliced in the front by the person that was closest to him last time that he played. Like, do you not think that Gi-hun would have a little bit of leeriness towards someone that really buddied up to him, especially because, I don't know, that sort of like malevolent close-up we got of him listening to Gi-hun and Jung-jae get back on the same page. I think Inho's going to make a move to become that number 1 guy, to a point you made earlier.
And he's got to. He really does have to. Let's say they do decide to end the game after one more round. And I think after one more round, it would be very enticing to just go ahead and quit right there, right? Because I feel like this is going to be a bloodbath. This is going to be a bloodbath, and people are going to be forced to turn against each other. Gi-hun kind of threw that out there. Y'all want to keep playing? What if the next game you got to kill each other? What about that? And they're like, that's preposterous. We could never, they would never suggest we do something like that. That's crazy. What kind of childhood game? And now here we are, right? And they're in here trying to form groups, and someone is going to get left out. There's no way that all of these groups are going to stay solid. There are going to be times where you have to make a group of 3 when you leave somebody out who really thought they were going to be your third. It's about to hit the fan. And so after this, I definitely could see them saying, all right, we're leaving, but then what happens? And if they're not able to leave, we know people are still trying to get in. Junho is coming. He's coming. Yep. And I don't know if he's ever going to find it, but he is on the way. So there are other reasons to believe that we're probably not going to get there.
This storyline feels like in those MCU end credit scene where we like occasionally check in on Thanos, like, all right, Thanos officially decided he's going to do it himself. All right, next time he's somewhat closer to Earth. That just feels like where we're going every episode with Junho and the Fisherman.
Yeah, it's like cut to Howard the Duck and then no explanation. So yeah, I totally get it. But you're right. 2 episodes left. We have a bunch of games that we're not going to be playing. I think this episode being called One More Game is probably significant because maybe this is the last one. This is literally the last of the Squid Game we will see. But if it is, they've done a really good job of drawing it out because I've been dying to find out what was coming up next. And here, I think this is going to be very interesting. But with a lot of them dying, potentially, we won't see the fallout, right? The emotional fallout for a lot of them. But we will see it for some of them. I want to see what happens if, although I have a deep hatred for 100, I want to see what happens if he survives. If he survives and everybody else is like, hey, we're out of here, how does he react to that? Also, we have this woman and her son. Both of y'all making it would be cute. one of y'all not making it would be a little bit spicier for my TV. So,
Yeah.
I'm not rooting against a lot of people, but I'm interested in the drama.
I have a lot of fear about the mom. This was a big episode for her in a very good way. I absolutely love this character. She has maybe emerged as one of my favorite new characters. Though again, Daeho, just such a good old boy.
He's so good.
The way he killed that Ganji, like God, it was like he's been playing with it since he was out of the womb. But obviously, the mom has this expected storyline where she is able to more so see 120 for who she is rather than she sort of stereotyped her to be in the first place. She's also very supportive of Jun-hee and her pregnancy. We find out a little bit more of the backstory, right? There's this very comedic moment as their team makes their way through the second game where, oh, picture that it's the face of dad's mistress, that you can tell as much of a comic character she is, that she does have some tragedy on her. She gets a fun moment. Chappell, this was an excellent episode for music. The musical choices were on point between like the tinkly, sad piano music over her over-the-top rant. Very different from the contestant last year who threatened to like basically just pee in the middle of the dormitories. This one, she really turns on the waterworks. But that makes me more nervous. We're really starting to sympathize her. We're really starting to see more of her, and especially her rather ominous comments to her son of like, if I die, you'll just go on. But if you die, I don't think I can physically or metaphorically live without you.
And her son's like, stop being dramatic. Cut it out. It's fine. Her son is the worst. Her son is literally the worst. There are so many people that I just got a good hate into. But 149, she, in the game, we find out, like you said, about her husband or her baby daddy's mistress. And it kind of, she does like the water boy thing, visualize the attack, and she like snatched that bitch by her ponytail. I was like, yes, get her. And so I was really enjoying those aspects. But the interaction with her and her son is really heartbreaking because as far as we know, she is here to handle his debts, not her own debts, right? I thought at some point we might get maybe that side of her, like, oh no, she actually has her own debt too, and she's just not here for him. But no, it's not the case. Her son sucks. I think he's 007, and he is just, I guess he's doing the math. He's looking up at the numbers and saying, I don't have, like, that's not going to help me. That is not going to get me out of debt.
Remember, he did pause for a brief second before his mom snapped him out of his reverie on the first vote. This guy is one of those aforementioned degenerate gamblers at the end of the day.
And then he had to shamefully walk over to the other side, and as his mom realizes that he's willing to risk her life, so that he will be okay on the outside of this, whereas she is not willing to risk his life. And that is heartbreaking. I like the added touch though that they gotta switch their patches whenever they vote. It's like you gotta wear that red X as a sign, but you also have to wear that O as a sign.
People aren't just hunting out social media posted likes to figure out where you voted. Like, you really gotta wear your choice, and it'll be interesting to see as things go along, how much that is going to bear out, and that it might turn into like outright tribalism where it'll be all the X's on one side and the O's on another. Right now, they're still mixing and mingling, right?
Reaching across the aisle, red and blue, mixing and mingling.
Exactly. Like they're all saying, you know what, I understand what you need to. And that's the other thing as well, is that getting to see the complexities of someone, for example, one of the players, I think it actually might have been Young Me, is saying like, I can't believe you're voting O, you're dooming us all to death. And you have this guy saying like, I need to make a certain amount of money or they're coming after my family. And so it's this odd thing of both simultaneous selfishness and selflessness, because there are some people that are saying, you don't understand, I have to keep going for my own sake to help the people that I love back home. I can't come home with this certain amount. I need this certain amount. On the other hand, by doing that, you are also damning a whole other group of people who did not vote that way, which again makes this twist so devilishly great. To Gi-hun's satisfaction, we luckily have not broken out into, the bottle shankings just yet, but I don't know. I feel like it's going to be on the way. Tempers and tantrums are rising.
Yeah, and we got some tension between Gi-hun and Jung-jae, even, who they know each other. And we find out kind of how they go way back. But seems like they have been partners in crime for a long time. Their marriages have ended due to their gambling and drinking and partying and hanging out. And I'll give Jung-jae credit for one thing. He got Gi-hun to crack. because he's been so locked in. For almost 2 seasons completely, we have not seen this man smile. We have not seen him laugh.
Only like the very first day when he absolutely cheeses it in his singular photo. That's the first and only time we saw Gi-hun smile this season.
Yeah, he has been just miserable the entire time. Like, he is locked in, he is gaming. But here we saw the human side of him. He starts yelling like, "You ruined my marriage. What are you talking about?" You know, he's like, rascal, you stop playing. And I'm thinking, he's serious. He is serious. He can identify that you're a bad influence on his life. But for once, he is relaxing a little bit and remembering his own humanity, because he came in here like a mercenary to shut down this game as if he was ordained to do it. But he had no plan, Mike. He thought, if I come in and just yell, "They're going to kill you," all these people are going to go, "Oh, okay, let's go home." And that did not work. If anything, it could have made it worse.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that as he's going to talk about in that conversation, like, the reason why he went in, yes, on paper, as has been presented to him by so many characters, you should have just gotten on the plane. Why didn't you just leave the games behind with your extraordinary amount of winnings and just, F off to Thailand, do whatever you want? And Gi-hun gives his sort of umpteenth pitch about it being blood money of like, hey, if I died right now and you won, would you forget what happened here? How would you be able to move on with your life? And he said that he expressly came in to leave with everybody. I think what's interestingly and unfortunately breaking Gi-hun is this realization that he can't, that these people cannot help themselves, and for various reasons are voting to continue to throw themselves into having a very fair shot of dying just for the chance of making more money. It's got to be so disquieting for him to realize in this moment that he had this big, to your point, vague vision, but vision nonetheless, of like, I'm going to charge in as the revolutionary leader, really show how good people are. We'll all leave arm's length, hands held, 1, 2, 1, 2, stepping our way out. We'll all get a little bit of money, but we'll walk off happier people. And for him to realize that that is indeed not the majority of the people that he is dealing with, it's crushing his purpose. And so I am happy to Jung-jae for bringing out that part of him, albeit through unconventional circumstances. That being said, again, much like 149, I feel like they're setting us up for a fall. It's happening at some point. I don't know, especially in this upcoming game. Like, I think Gi-hun and Jung-jae are locked in as number ones. I think they're not going anywhere unless one is forcibly dragged away from a group by the other person. But I don't think they're endgame material.
Well, my problem with Jung-jae is that he's betrayed you once already. I always say that those social strategy games, I just could not be made for it, because you got one time. You have one time for me to feel betrayed. Not for you to betray me, but for me to feel betrayed. Okay. If you're like, no, Chappell was on, hey, it's too late. You're dead to me. Like, I'm already trying to, I can play nice, but deep down and right here, right there in my soul, I'm coming for you. And so I could just imagine, like, Gi-hun doesn't have it in him. But Jung-jae has already identified that he can betray you. He will vote for his best interest. There is a world where Jung-jae has a group and it's 3 people, or it's 2 people, or him and Gi-hun are going for the same group, and Gi-hun gets left out to dry because of that. Now, Gi-hun obviously has some plot armor, so he's going to be okay. But I could see Jung-jae definitely betraying him again, and him having to see it happen in front of him in this game of Mingo, where he realizes, like, oh, maybe I'm not your number one. You're my number one, but it's not reciprocated. You're still choosing you over us. And I would love to see what that looks like, because Jung-jae got away with that vote this time.
Yep.
I wouldn't have welcomed him back. That would not have been my group.
You would have really forcibly had him sit even further away. Like, go join Thanos and those other selfish a-holes.
Yeah, go sit. Look, I told you. I want to see where you voted. The O's, you need to go over there with your O's. Don't come over here. You'll get shunned. I'll stiff arm your bow. Because to me, he's sitting just within earshot of them so they can see him over there in shame. Like, look at me pouting over here. Like, J-Ho calls him out. Hey, come over here and stop playing. We see you.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, well, I didn't think y'all want to hang out with me. Like, get out of here. The whole time I was thinking, I'd have got up and left. I can't sit by people,
And this is very, I don't know, rough to say it, but I watched a little bit of that. I'm like, okay, I could understand maybe why your wife got tired of the routine. If this is how you came in after every conflict, trying to play the victim for the actions that you perpetrated, all right, maybe if you're blaming somebody for all the bad life choices you made, go to the bathroom and look in the mirror.
Because he has no issue blaming Gi-hun for his problems, and despite his name being double righteous or twice as
that's
righteous.
The thing. He was actually pretty twice as righteous. Granted, again, it was a little bit of a facade or played up to try to get Gi-hun to sort of break out of his funk, but definitely acting very, very righteous over the course of this episode.
Yeah, he can go. I don't care if he's in game or not, but I really want them to have to face the fact that this man is not in your corner. He has already proven to you that he is self-interested in a way that this is not a team effort for him. You know, Gi-hun came to him before his mom died and it's like, hey, I just need some help. He's like, I can't help you. I don't got nothing for you. And so now we're supposed to believe that they're tied together, you know, not physically this time, but you know, figuratively in this game. It's like, hey, how many times does a man have to backstab you before you realize he's just as greedy as all the rest of these people? He's in it for himself, and he's no better than the next person. You seem to be the person with the moral high ground here who came to shut this down. But there are a lot of these people who are here for the money, and they cannot walk away from it.
Let's talk about another player who surprisingly breaks from their group and votes O, and that is 120 Hyunju, who has a big spotlight in this episode. You know, you and I, again, due to the fact that she was a prominently featured character, we had assumed that fivesome would make it out of that cliffhanger. They did. Listen, it got pretty close, and she was able to slap some sanity into the shaman of the seas, but got her really good, bleeding from the face. But she makes it through. But we find out a lot about her in this episode. The fact that she does make everyone, and I mean everyone, I almost thought the masked men turned around at one point, look away from her kicking the Jegi because she has not fully transitioned from a surgical perspective. And again, it really speaks to 149 and even how far she's come in the few episodes we've known her, that like she says, yeah, come to the bathroom with us. And there's like no big deal made out of it. Now, of course, the big to-do that is about this character is the fact that this character is not played by a trans actress. They are played by an actor by the name of Park Sung-hoon, a male actor. And there was an understandable, I think, especially from a Western perspective, a big to-do about the fact that why are we casting non-trans actors to play trans roles? And at least the perspective from Hwang Dong-hyuk, who is the showrunner and creator of the series, was that he has said that they really tried. It was not without effort that they were looking for a trans actress to portray 120. They could not find a single one. And actually, if you look into the situation, unfortunately, tragically for LGBTQ plus people in South Korea, it is, I mean, obviously to the north, it is a lot worse, but it ain't a lot better in the South. I think they are, you know, one of the many Asian countries that still have not made same-sex marriage legal. They have a notable amount of crackdowns on, you know, homosexuality and anyone who is in the queer community. And I mean, the showrunner claims that not a lot of actors are even out, period, let alone trans. And so it was always going to be a tough job to do. You know, I do wonder then why did he decide to bring this character into the forefront in the first place? But with a bit of the background behind it, I could understand why they made the choices that they did, even if on the onset you look at this and you think this is yet another continual systemic problem in Hollywood.
Yeah, and in a way, they're using this actor to highlight a story that is not about them, but also to kind of shed the light on, you know, some real issues that are making our contestant here stay in the game. Like, her life was awful after transitioning. She felt like herself, but everything else had gone to shit. Everything else was in disarray. Her family had turned her back on her. Her mom's always crying. Everybody's sad. She just needs to get away.
She got fired. Like, yeah, it's wild, right? Because yeah, it's this god horrific irony, right? That like the only time that society accepted me was when I was not myself. So when I am fully myself, I am completely rejected from everyone that loves me.
Right. And she was a soldier. And so now she's like, all right, well, obviously I need to start my entire life over, and I need to go someplace, Thailand, where she feels like she could thrive a little bit. She can get all the surgery that she needs and start living her life in a way that she feels, you know, like empowered to do so. And the amount of money that they have right now is just not enough. She's kind of looking at it saying, I mean, I can do a little something with that. but it still would take a lot. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a job. That's my issue now, is that like I have transitioned, I am transitioning, but at the same time, I still look like me. And if people are, taken aback by that or discriminatory or against me, then I can't even go to work. So I need to make sure that when I leave here, I'm able to live a little bit, not even thrive, but just able to exist in a place where I can pay my bills, feed myself, and then, not be, attacked or mistreated in any way. And that's not asking a lot, but for her, it's going to take a lot of money. And so, it really did tell this story in a way that I think was necessary to be told. And if they did truly go the route of looking for an actress, a trans actress that could play this role, and they exhausted all their resources, they did the best they can do, that's really all you can ask. We want people to try to make representation happen. Now, there's some situations where if you can't find an actor that or actress that fits the identity, the story just don't need to be told by you. You need to give it up, let it go. But I think in this way, they're using this story to tell like a bigger story about some of the discriminatory practices in other countries and in this country that we live in as well.
Yeah, and what is so tough is that right before 120 votes, there is this like very starry-eyed conversation amongst the members of their team, right? Of, we all live near each other after we get out of this. Let's all have dinner together. Like, on the one hand, if the character wanted to, if she voted X and the vote carried through, like, she kind of has, for lack of a better term, a found family. Like, she has a group of people that she could theoretically find amongst all the people that tragically shunned her in her life. But I think that was outweighed, unfortunately, just by the realities for her of like, this is not enough, stepping out there. And it's so interesting as well, because one of the facets that got brought up in season 1 is that in the Squid Game, all 456 contestants are equal. No matter where they were in life, what their background is, they are just given a number, all placed in the game. The games are supposed to be fair. There's no inherent advantages or disadvantages that are supposed to be given to people. And so it's really interesting to have someone like 120 who, granted, this is the most demonic, demented version of this egalitarian society. But for her, it must be so interesting to be like, yeah, people are giving me side eye and not wanting to work with me, but like, at the same time, there's a lot worse that can be done to me outside of this. And so I'm okay with that. The thing that makes me a little nervous is that obviously we saw how it went for her being picked for a team last game. And now being picked for a team is the game this time around.
Exactly. You want to posit the idea that everybody is equal, when in reality that's not the case. Even here, we see the boys club form almost instantly. Oh, the girls are not going to be as good in these challenges. We see her shunned. We see the older people shunned. It happened in the first season. It's happening now. And so you can say all things are equal and all things considered, everybody has a fair shot, but that's just not the case. So it's tough because these next round, people are going to have to really start to, I guess, grab on to the people that are closest to them and say, okay, we are a group this round, and then the next round, we'll have to figure whatever out. But it behooves you to make some type of alliance with people that you normally wouldn't work with. It's just that when you are, othered by society and even smaller groups, it's hard to break your way into that. When someone needs a sacrificial lamb, they'll probably look for the person who's the least like them. And this could be very bad for Hongyu.
Yeah, though, she is a bit of a conquering hero considering how rollicking everyone was in the beginning of that episode. That was so much fun. Again, a fantastic use of music, though. I think the better one is reserved for Gi-hun's team, where we actually get like a motivational song with vocals behind it before the literal record scratch happens. But like, everyone was cheering for them. Now, maybe it was more so a representation of like, oh, this isn't an auto-fail game. People can actually do it. But for those brief 5 minutes, she was one of the most well-liked people in the Squid Game. Maybe she could use that when she's campaigning of like, oh, remember when I slapped that lady that nobody likes? Come on, that should be worth something, right?
Yeah. The Shaman of the Sea deserved that slap.
Now, she is also someone that I feel like could stand a chance of getting rejected because she's not very social. And also, when she is welcomed into a group, she plays it off like they're so lucky to have her. When also, like, she almost killed them all with the spinning top as well. What good is she?
Yeah, and when it was time to vote, she voted to keep the party going. She said, okay, gods, tell me what's going on. But when she was in that 6-legged race, and she said, okay, the gods have deserted us. We're gonna die. We're gonna die. I was like, somebody get her. Somebody get her before I get her. Because this is you can't decide for the rest of us that the gods have deserted us. I need them to speak up. So you got to do something. So again, whack her again, because you got to keep your head in the game, lady. Here, I could definitely see her getting left behind. Squeaky wheels. This is the time when they're gonna start to get kind of left behind. There are a few that I think people have endeared themselves to, even some of the quieter characters. But now, I'm worried about our crypto guy. People I have had it out for him. This could be bad.
Let's talk about him. I mean, I did love, again, very on the nose for just the attitude that all these people have in saying they could do one more game, is MG Coin reminding us, yeah, I told you that the price was going up, and it was. You idiots didn't know when to walk away from the table and thought that the price would just keep magically skyrocketing and free money would be printed. It's not exactly my fault. That being said, Thanos, basically makes him his own little slave of like, you're going to stay till the end of the game and you're going to win all that money. And MG Coin, again, that's the reason why, like, Thanos is an asshole, but like, he's kind of like the bullies from Power Rangers. Like, I can't necessarily with the Dono music, like, I can't ever take him seriously when his biggest threat is, yeah, I'm gonna die and you're gonna keep playing the game. How's that sound, buddy?
Yeah, he said, if I win, you lose, right? He's like, that's not. We don't have to worry about that right now. I'm just gonna beat you up in the meantime. He's always ready to give out knuckle sandwiches.
He really
it's like
is.
He's very like, why I oughta, and then someone walks in. Inho walking in and shutting everything down is hilarious because everybody should be terrified about it from Inho.
Well, he got his ass kicked by Inho last episode.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so now Inho walks in like, what was said? And everybody's, oh no, we could. Hey, nobody, no worries, no fight. Don't run up on me on the urinal. How about that? I feel like at that point, that's how you get pissed on. Get away from me.
Yeah. Well, listen, a lot worse could be happening. I mean, the people around that one guy got pissed on before they got shot on. So yeah, but I do fear for him. He does vote the correct way this time. He keeps having these longing glances towards Jung-jae, who is also having a tough time as well. Has found her own sort of found family in a way, but I don't know, Chappell. When she was like in that stall and they were knocking on it and she was a little non-responsive, I thought the worst had just happened.
I thought the baby was in the toilet. I did. In the toilet. I thought it was in there, and it wasn't.
Does the baby get a number if there's a baby born in Squid Game?
We haven't been talking about it, but there is an extra contestant potentially. We'll see what happens, but it looks like Jung-jae is getting really close to giving birth, at least based on what Granny is saying. And so I was concerned, but it just looks like she's having a moment. It's probably hard enough to feign some type of courage in these moments. Sometimes it does look like some of these people have forgotten that they plan for their lives. They come out, they're very energetic about these games where I would be terrified. But I think you have to keep a strong face. Like, you gotta like, okay, hold it together in front of all the people. Because if they think you're weak, they might try to bully you. Because we are seeing people like Thanos and his crony, I don't know.
I think it's like Num-Gu. I think it's like his.
Thanos don't even know his name. He's always messing it up. He's like, whatever they call you. Stop trying to bully each other. And so I think you kind of have to be like, nah, I'm not gonna let y'all take from me what I deserve in this game. Like, I have to lose it on my own time. So you never let them see you sweat. You can't. You gotta hide off in the stall, cry, and then come back even harder than ever.
Yeah, let's talk about this, because this is definitely like the C group, not the C plot, which is Junho quite literally on the C. But like, Chappell, are we gonna see Minsu snap this season or next season? It's coming, right? Like, this guy, if you're talking about meanings of names, it translates to like quiet or mousy. And this guy just keeps getting beat down upon by this guy Num-gu, that inevitably he is going to be that quiet guy that you underestimate, and he will metaphorically or maybe literally open fire upon everyone who has wronged him.
Right, because why do we keep highlighting him? In my mind, this is going to be one of those moments where you might have needed him. You might need him to let you into his group in this game. And he's like, you're not coming with us. Throw somebody else in behind the door so they don't get. I don't know how they're gonna kill him. Do you think they're just gonna shoot them all? I don't want to change the subject.
I mean, it could be something where, it could be like, so everyone has to grab someone and then go off behind a door. Maybe it's just people that are like left on the turntable get shot. But like, I can imagine something where next episode Thanos is like tripping balls and literally wanders off to another group. Minsu and this girl, I think she's 360, 380, who like
Mm-hmm.
is really the most down-to-earth contestant in the entirety of the Squid Game. They join up together and walk off, and like this guy Namgyu is left tripping balls and just by himself, and he ends up getting shot.
Yeah, yeah, they're gonna leave him. They're gonna leave him for dead, and I'm okay with that. Namgyu sucks. He's the worst. But Minsu, I'm trying to see where we're going with this because in Squid Game, anybody can go. Anybody can die except for probably Gi-hun, right? Maybe Inho's probably safe as well.
Mm-hmm.
But all the rest of these characters that we've now learned a lot about, we have names. From a television standpoint, it's a perfect time to start killing them. Start killing the people that we've grown attached to, the ones that we're rooting for. So this could be bad for Minsu, but also if this is the last game and they vote to quit, what does Minsu look like on the outside? If this is the literally the last game, we do our vote and they say, all right, it's over. Where is he going? Does he have a larger role in this universe, or did we just build him up to be a part of this Thanos storyline? And then after this last game, we're gonna get a snap, and he won't be a part of the half that survives.
All right. Well, one more character we need to touch upon, and again, we have to look behind the scenes, and not a huge nudging of the plot forward from Noelle's perspective. Basically, she gets some recompense for the fact that she ended up killing yet another live body for this organ harvesting project. She gets accosted by these freaking maroons, these dumb meatheads, to quote Venus. Like, okay, I get on the one hand accosting her in her room, having the manager turn the other cheek and just be like, slice her cheek and say, don't get in our way. Like, if you don't want to be a part of it, then don't do anything. You are actively interfering, and that's going to be an issue. But why on earth do these absolute ignoramuses show their faces to be like, I want you to remember this?
Mm-hmm. And we were talking about this. What happened to people? First of all, what happened to shame? Okay, why are y'all so proud of these moments? Bring back shame. Bring back admonishing people for being stupid. And I think that in the past, in last season, we've talked about it. There, everybody was confidential. We have our masks. You couldn't let anybody see your face, especially if you're doing shady dealings. Left and right, these people are taking off their masks. And I don't know if she's making like a mental Rolodex of all the people she needs to kill, but I could see that happening for sure because they threatened her life, but they didn't take it. They're like, oh yeah, we'll mess you up. We'll top your fingers off and put it in the incinerator. That is the same person that you just told you were going to harm, and now she's about to go back to work with her gun.
Yeah.
Like,
hey,
what are you doing?
Stop being insubordinate and going against us. Let me give you one other big reason to be insubordinate and go against us. Now, maybe they feel like Noelle is still playing within the confines of the rules and like would never enact mask on mask violence, but if there was ever a time to do it, it would be now, when you threaten to chop off her fingers, put them in the incinerator, and then also like, quote, have your way with her afterwards.
Mm-hmm. I could see me accidentally shooting you in the face. Oopsie,
Yep.
My bad. I didn't mean that. Sorry. He ran right in front of the gun. What do you want me to do? This is a problem. This is a problem. And we haven't gotten a lot of character moments from her. We thought like the big switch up was that, it seems like she's mercy killing these people. But we don't know what her end game is either. Are you in the Squid Game just to mercy kill people and to make sure their organs aren't harvested, and then you're just gonna go home? Like, all right, well, that was fun. They voted. I guess it was time to go. After this vote, what do we do with her? We've learned so much about her, and so little about her in 5 episodes at the same exact time. I don't know what the outside world looks for her. Is she putting the bunny outfit back on?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, is it going to come down to 249 again, where will she have a soft spot for him and like go for broke and decide to free him or something, which seems like a fruitless endeavor considering that she probably knows at this point that she's on an island. So unless she has her own sea captain in her pocket to charter a boat back, there's not really much she could do. But that's what I imagine it might come down to. Like, maybe one of these absolute dingbats decides to go for this guy and she's like, no, this is the one exception. And she decides to really cross this path, do something that she cannot take back, kill one of these guys that threatened her. It's coming. I imagine this is something that will come in the next 2 episodes. It just depends on when. I mean, it also depends on, to your point, how do the triangles get involved in this most recent game? Are they just going to go in there and clean up the bodies again? Are they the ones behind each door counting out to make sure everyone's in each group? I'm not entirely sure. We got left with a bunch of questions here, Chappell. I'll throw out a question to you, though, to end this. So, to your point, does feel like we're getting to a little bit of the pointy end of the game here on Squid Game
Yeah.
season 2. You know, we're 2 games in, and it may not go the full 6, but we may start losing some of these named characters, some of these big personalities. Place your bet here. Put on the cat mask. What character do you think is going to die in the Mingle game next episode?
Who's going to die in the Mingle? Okay. So Namgyu can go. Okay,
Mhm.
he can go. I would be very happy. It would be me. I'd be the one to trip him. Okay, he's not getting any door that I'm in. But from there, I'm kind of wondering who I'd be willing to lose. There's still some characters that are here for drama,
Yep.
right? So like Thanos could go because he won't stop rapping. But honestly, for drama, I'd be
Put
okay
down the
with
mic, bro.
use an eraser. You know, to me, he could go
Yeah,
too.
Thanos
But
has an eraser.
yeah, exactly. Please, somebody snap again, snap one more time until we get the right there, like until we get this man out of here. So he could go. He could go. But I also think that there's some drama to be had if he stays. You know, he's an entertaining character. Not rooting for him to win the game by any means, but if somebody got to go, they got to go. I'm also thinking maybe this might be time to split up mom and her son. You know, there's only so much we can do here. If one of them has to go, I'm hoping it's the son. He's gonna be useless if he stays without her. Like, I know she says I'll have nothing to live for, but okay, if you had to give one of them your lives, that like, okay, you're in charge, who would it be? I'm definitely not picking 007 here. But I don't know. He has license to kill, so we'll see. I can't think of who else would make it. Oh, I'm looking at Jung-jae again. I think that he might make it through this, but I think we're gonna be looking at him very differently before we get to the finale. I think he's not right now. He's looking as almost like Gi-hun's partner in crime, but I feel like this man cannot be trusted, and now is the time that he's gonna do his big heel turn.
There's some
Bigger
good
heel turn.
Yeah, there's some good picks there. I definitely think the top of my board would probably be Namgyu, and maybe the mother Jung-jae, number 149 is second. Maybe I'm reverse jinxing this by throwing Daeho out there, that he gets ditched by his fellow. I do not want this to happen, but also, I don't know if you clocked this, Chappell. Daeho's usually very cheerful exterior had a brief crack in it when Jung-jae presses a little too much about, like, tell me about your dad. And so,
Mhm.
I don't know if Daeho has, like, some daddy issues going on or something, but I I'm a little worried that it's the situation that, like you mentioned, when you are the number 1 to a certain person, but that number 1 has another number 1, and it's like,
Mhm.
you could easily get abandoned them. You get cut at the final 3, essentially. And unfortunately, this Mingle game might provoke that situation early, where it's like, "Okay, we're part of this group of 3, and it can only be 1 more, and I have to choose one of you." If Jung-jae is in that position, he's choosing Gi-hun every day of the week over Daeho.
Right. And it's life or death. So he has to choose someone. So it's like you really can't hold it against him. But for Daeho, it doesn't matter because he's the one who's probably going to get left behind. So if that happens, it doesn't matter if I trusted you and you betrayed me. I'm dead now. So
Yeah.
it's tough. I can
Dead
see
men
him in
tell
that
no
moment.
tales, I hear.
Yeah. And then it's a whole Marine thing. There's honor in them in their joint background. I wonder if Gi-hun would be the one who got left behind though. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh,
If
you already have a friend, Gi-hun. You and Inho have been getting along really well. You'll figure your way out. You've won this before. Poor
right,
Daeho, this is his first time.
right, I gotta get him. You've already won the game. I don't know. There's some drama to be had, and that's why they keep dragging this out and cliffhangering us, and I don't like it.
Well, we will have to drag things out just a bit more, but only a short amount of time, as Chappell tomorrow, penultimate episode of Squid Game Season 2, last episode of Squid Game in 2024 that we'll be covering. We will cover the finale, of course, on January 1st, maybe some other stuff. After that, let us know your thoughts on the episode, about any supplementary coverage you want us to do. Like, obviously, this is a hot and heavy week of Squid Game, but it comes and goes so fast. Who knows? Maybe if there's other opportunities to talk with people about their thoughts on Squid Game, we will gladly take that up. Otherwise, jingle bells are out, mingle bells are in, but it's bringing some mingle hell tomorrow as we find out what's going on with this and just pray to the gods, a la the Shaman of the Sea, that we do not get another cliffhanger. We shall see what happens tomorrow. Until then,
Amen.
everybody, take care. Bye-bye.